All right, welcome in everybody to the Players Only Podcast, the best weekly podcast. And here we are on the first Sunday of the NFL season. We'll get into that and more.
Yep.
Um, yeah, where do we want to start?
Well, let's just start with the greatest thing that happened today. Football. Week one
Yeah,
officially, semi-officially, got rolling. Obviously we had the game on Thursday. We'll talk about that a little bit. But then so many fun, juicy topics happened today. We're not going to dive too much into fantasy stuff. If you want to hear that, we're going to break all of that down. Probably going to be a longer podcast than usual on that. So we're going to do that a little bit later on in the week
yeah,
once Monday's games get situated, because that's going to be a good game, um, and so on. But I'm sure some of what we have is semi-relevant to fantasy for sure. But the biggest thing and the best part of week one is the overreactions. So, what I got is a small little handful, and we'll get into more overreactions in the fantasy podcast. But I got a small little handful of the big overreactions that I've already seen on Twitter, and some I had for myself. And basically, Vince, I'm gonna give you some, and I just want your initial reaction, and,
yeah, because I'm gonna hate
and,
these.
and a little bit of a breakdown. The first one, it should be no surprise, Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk is just a legendary combo. They got the it factor.
No, no, too soon to be saying stuff like that. They played with the lead the whole game too. Not a lot of pressure,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny how that's your favorite part of week one. For me, it's my least favorite part. Like it'll be hard to watch any sports media or listen to any of that the next 2 days because
Yeah.
people just assume what they saw is how the whole season's gonna go for the next 10 years.
Right.
Stupid.
They're gonna ride the hype train like crazy. And for those of you watching, especially that watch the fantasy podcast, we've been on the Brandon Ayuk train. Now, I haven't been on the Brock Purdy train too much. I still think he needs to prove it. I still do, even after today's game. It looks promising, for Mr. Irrelevant. It's
Yeah,
great. But there's some things he needs to work on for sure. But Brandon Ayuk, man, oh, I love him. He's somebody you can get so late in fantasy. It's so great.
yeah.
All right. Here's my favorite one. My absolute favorite one. Anthony Richardson is the best rookie quarterback right now.
No, no. I still like CJ is my favorite rookie quarterback, or think will be the best in the end of the day.
So I got some stats, and we'll run through it real quick. We'll start with Bryce Young, who had a awful day. 20 of 38, only 146 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions, and he had 3 carries, 17 yards. Um, Really, the only person that he truly connected with was Hayden Hurst, his tight end. Otherwise, there was no good connection with other wide receivers. I don't know if you really saw anything else, but the interceptions were bad. Um, yeah, that's
Yeah.
for Young.
Yeah, no, I didn't see highlights out of that one. Not ready to sit here and call him a bust. Any
Yeah,
of the rookie quarterbacks, I'm not really ready to sit here and call him a bust. Give him a year, give him
that's what
a couple of
loves.
years. But I
Yeah.
mean, right? That's you know why I got rid of Thielen. 9 months ago.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, you're the first overall pick, you're center stage for week one. This is a lot of pressure, so you gotta give him, at least a year. Joe Burrow didn't look as good as he does. Well, not so much
Joe
today.
Burrow, Trevor
Uh,
Lawrence, Peyton Manning,
no,
like the list goes on. Patrick Mahomes only played one game. Yeah, the list goes on and
right,
on and on.
exactly. So these guys need to develop and stuff like that. And the thing with Bryce Young, he's smaller. He's gonna need to learn that there's some big guys out there, and he's got to work that way around it. So it's gonna take some time for sure. Next, CJ Stroud, 28 of 44. So about half. 242 yards, pretty good. No touchdowns, but no interceptions. Then he had 4 carries for 20 yards. I only saw a little bit of it. I was watching mostly Red Zone, and
Yeah.
whenever they were playing it, they were always playing the other side of the ball versus CJ.
Hmm.
So I didn't see too many of his highlights, but on paper, it's fine.
Yeah.
No touchdowns just sucks, but no interception.
Yeah. And they were trailing a lot this game. I could tell. But yeah, we just need more footage, more
Yep.
chances.
Anthony Richardson, 24 of 37. Awesome. 223 yards. Pretty good. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had 10 carries for 40 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. He did get hurt towards the end of the game. Gardner Minshew had to step in because he decided he was going to put his head down and he was going to take every single shot.
Yeah.
They showed him all over red zone. And overall, though, he looked good. He had a couple really wide open passes that completely missed. Lots of throws that were way too high, but were
Yeah.
caught by people around him. So definitely the rookie parts of it. But I mean, overall, I know you're not too high on him, but he looks solid, for a rookie. So
Yeah.
go
So
ahead, say what you're
still,
gonna say.
still inaccurate at times, and I'm glad you brought it up in your stats that yeah, he left the game hurt. That's why I don't like those mobile guys.
Yeah.
At least not long
Oh,
term.
Lamar.
Well, when you're fast enough to get out of bounds, that's different.
Yeah, he's rookie. He didn't know how to get out of bounds.
Yeah.
He just went right up the gut. Um, Mahomes is nothing without Kelsey.
No. Right. Big time overreaction. Uh,
Yep.
I think everyone going into the season knew that the receivers aren't the best in Kansas City.
Yep.
Juju was there a year ago, but after him, Sky Moore really isn't a receiver, more of a punt returner, and
Yeah.
Rasheed Rice, we'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah,
He looks
definitely an
solid, but
overreaction
yeah. No, for sure. I mean, obviously it's gonna help when Kelsey's there.
for sure.
Problem is Kelsey's getting old. He's got, a handful of years left. So the Chiefs really need to figure out what they're gonna do when Mahomes leaves. It's the whole reason he took a pay cut. He could be getting paid way more than what he asked. So, better get him some weapons for sure. Uh, the best thing though to come out of that game was all the Kadarius Toney memes and
Yeah.
TikToks. I sent you a handful, and then I was getting like even the funnier ones, and I was like, oh, I can't send this to them because I've already sent them 10.
Yeah. But no, you're
But they
you're
were
right. They
great.
were they were pretty thick.
Yeah,
Friday, and even yesterday, I was seeing them. Yeah.
yeah. So obviously, it didn't work out. He was with the Giants beforehand, right? He was a first round pick, not too long ago at all. Right there with Olave, right, or Waddle in that draft, I believe.
Oh, Kadarius Tony.
Yeah,
Right. He was around there, right? And yeah, he was a first round
yeah,
pick by the Giants. They gave
right.
up on
So
him.
and
Yeah. And
so he
it
got a
yeah.
lot of proof.
And it's a reminder too that again the whole team isn't just based on how good your quarterback is. Like other
Yep.
players do matter. People in the media. Um, you finally see Mahomes without Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, and look at what happens. So
Exactly. He's still Mahomes, but he needs weapons. All right. You ready to argue?
yeah,
All right. Bijan versus Gibbs. Now, Bijan had a great game, but Gibbs has a better team around him. overall, I feel like Gibbs is going to have the better year overall because of that. Atlanta looked awful.
Well, they just won 24-10. What do you mean they looked awful?
Desmond Ritter, halfway through the game,
Well,
had like 24 yards. No, and like he had more catches than half the team besides Bijan. I mean, look, it's not it's not back with Adrian Peterson where he can just carry carry the team. Everybody's got it's a passing league and so on, right? People are a little bit more physical-ish now. He can't carry the team at this point. But Gibbs, I mean, you got Amon Ra, Goff is, but they've got weapons. Now, granted, he's technically a secondary back, but I feel like he's still gonna have the better year overall.
so
They've got more
just
support.
point blank, Gibbs is going to outscore Bijan in fantasy points.
Yes,
No,
absolutely.
no. We'll have some weeks where he outscores them, but
Yeah.
no.
He did have that one really, really good run. I think he only had one like really good breakout run that I saw, maybe two.
Yeah.
Um, overall looked good, but I'm still on the Gibbs train, man. Still on the Gibbs train.
I, Still good, but
Yeah.
Bijan's always going to get more work. And
For now.
Ritter too. I kind of want to go back and watch like cut ups of like all his throws.
Yeah.
He kind of got it easy today with the win. They were ahead the whole time. The other, Carolina looked bad, at
Yep.
least on offense. So he didn't really have to throw a whole lot. Um, yeah, just be nice to maybe see a little bit more out of him.
Yeah, it did look like it was a little bit more of a battle of the defenses. It did look like though Atlanta's offensive line was pretty good, so he did have more or less a decent amount of time to get things done. I think Pitts had like two catches for a decent yardage or something like that. Um, Drake London did nothing, absolutely nothing, which killed you and I fantasy wise. Um,
Yeah,
that's disappointing too because he looked pretty promising, and it's just week one, right? Don't want to
right.
overreact too much, but still, you would have hoped something out of you know out of him at the very least, a catch or two. uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Here's what I've been kind of saying up and down. Oh, go ahead.
No, I wasn't
Okay.
gonna say anything.
Here's something I've been saying. I said it up and down. You got in my head, and I benched his ass. Fantasy. Zay Flowers is a stud. He is a stud. He looked great today.
I saw you had a carry,
Yeah,
or a
he had
long
two carries.
run,
Yeah.
maybe, or were they two long runs or just one?
I think it was one long run, and then one actually I think went behind the line of scrimmage. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it looked good. First round pick. I'm not ready to say he's any better than the other three first round wide receivers.
um so that's what I had for overreactions and just a couple notes that I had written down. And then your thoughts on them. So the Bengals pulled Joe Burrow. It was an awful, awful Bengals game.
Well,
What's your thought?
probably just because it was garbage time. I'm not gonna read
Yeah,
into that too much. Like, oh, he's trash now. No.
right. Like a couple years ago, when Aaron Rodgers had like the 2 points in fantasy, and everybody was like, "Oh no, he's gonna be trash the rest of the year," and he had like a MVP season.
Oh, and I know those Packer fans that yeah the two MVP seasons completely gave up on him week one. Trade
Yep.
Rodgers, he's washed. He should retire, and then yeah, he wins MVPs. Some people never
uh,
learn.
right. It was disappointing to see, obviously, especially going up against the Browns. Obviously, I have no love for the Browns overall. I purposely don't never draft almost any Browns players. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing to see for sure. But it's week one. Tank Bigsby looks to be a very solid backup running back.
Only you bring up Tank Bigsby.
What do you mean? He had 2 touchdowns, didn't he?
I know one at least, but I don't know. Travis still ended with more than 20 fantasy points, so you need to chill out.
Because he had like one crazy good run because he he was playing like ping pong down the field. But otherwise, I mean, Tank Bigsby cleaned up all of his messes.
Yeah, saw Bigsby also. There's like a fumble he picked up and then just gave it to the other
Uh,
team. That's a
he
real good play for
it was
the other
either that
team.
or he stood there and watched.
Hey, you
um,
don't stop till the refs blow the whistle, and he stopped
right.
early.
Uh, Speaking of fumbles, Lamar fumbled twice, and I know if, especially on the first one, he kind of just watched it. He just stood there and watched as his lineman went to go get it. Um, and the way he was holding the ball when he went to run was not very good. He was kind of holding it by his fingertips, playing with it. So I'm sure as a fantasy owner, you'd love to see it.
No, but yeah, there's a lot of rain out there on the East
Yeah.
Coast today. That game was rainy, New England.
Yep.
Zeke had a really bad catching fumble too. Yeah,
He
that's
was in the
just
game for way too much too. Every time I looked, he was getting the ball. It's like, why?
yeah. That's why I like my guys in the dome. End of the season. That's why I got Dak every year.
Yeah. 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 No. Lamar needs to figure out how to hold the ball again. Something.
Get himself traded to
Look,
Atlanta.
right. You know. uh, One thing that was really cool, actually, during that Ravens game, OBJ and Derek Stingley Jr. They were facing off against each other most of the game. It was actually really cool and fun to watch because they were talking basically the entire game, getting in each other's face the whole time. There's not too many people that can out jump OBJ for sure, and Derek definitely made work for it. Usually, you don't really see that matchup too much and are purposely watching just that matchup, right? You're watching the whole game, and if that happens to catch your eye, then you're keeping an eye on it. I was watching that every time it would pop up on TV.
Oh,
It was
really?
really cool to watch. Oh yeah, it was awesome, dude. They were just yelling at each other the whole game. I don't think OBJ was paying attention to the game at all. He was just watching Derek, so it was really cool to see. Um, and then J.K. Dobbins, he tore his Achilles. Um, he's injury after injury after injury.
His whole
I
NFL
think it's
career, yeah.
uh, I think it's probably very easy to just call it now. He's a bust. This is his second Achilles tour.
Yeah.
Maybe third, or I don't know what was going on with him last year, but last year he was awful too and
Yeah.
always hurt. Um, so at this rate, they need to
Yeah.
figure out what to do. Uh, if
Career is
anything,
basically
hey,
done. Yeah.
Baltimore can go and shoot for Jonathan Taylor if they got the cap space.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you next year, right? Otherwise, Kareem Hunt is still out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a running back here that used to wear purple. You know, he's still looking for a team.
Oh. uh, as far as the noon games go, anything else that kind of caught your eye as you were watching it?
Man, just the Tampa Bay and Minnesota game.
Oh,
Obviously watched that. If Tampa Bay had if Aaron Rodgers went there, they could easily be a Super Bowl contender. I thought their defense looked impressive. Antonio Winfield Jr., This had to be one of his
Yeah.
best games as a pro. Looked great on
Yeah.
blitzes. Um,
Yeah.
Wide receivers there still got it. So if Aaron Rodgers went there, if they had a better quarterback, they could actually still be a Super Bowl contender. Because Baker still missed some throws. Like that's
Yeah.
why people aren't all, I think, crazy about him. Is because they could have beat us worse. That's the thing.
Right. And like whenever anybody asks um what are these quarterbacks known for? Every single time his face pops up, it's always commercials. It's nothing about his game. It's nothing about how he
Yeah,
runs. It's not nothing. It's he's in too many commercials right when he got drafted, and that's all he cared about. So um yeah, no, it was disappointing. I watched a good amount of the first quarter, and I had to turn it off because I was getting too angry, and I just just watched Red Zone. I can't watch those games; it drives me insane. Um, Jordan Addison had a couple good plays,
yep,
for sure, which is nice to see from a rookie right off the bat. JJ did his thing.
yep,
Unfortunately, the O line for the Vikings is awful and continues to be awful. And for some reason, we can't fix it any year. So,
yeah,
and Kirk's just gonna keep getting hurt or keep getting hit. So we just gotta rely on that. So unfortunately, um, now kind of moving on to the 325 games. We had some really good games, right? The Miami game was absolutely nuts, down to the wire.
I knew that was gonna
Super
be
high
high
scoring.
scoring. That's why I started
And
Tua. I knew that was gonna be high scoring. Yep,
dude, Tua had almost what 450 yards,
yeah,
4 touchdowns, I believe. And Tyreek Hill just ate it up.
mm-hmm.
250-ish yards, 2 touchdowns, just demolished them. Um, he said he's going for the 2,000 yards. I think right now he's on pace for like 3,200. Obviously just week one, but
Yeah,
still he dominated for sure. Um, Amazing game on both sides for sure. Um, and then the Philly game, eh, Mac Jones just he had a couple good throws, but otherwise he can't finish anything. And
yeah,
the Eagles actually looked very beautiful. I will say that.
yeah.
Very very beautiful. So maybe maybe Belichick just gave everybody the blueprint to beat the Eagles. I sure hope so. The Vikings face them on Thursday.
Yeah, now I'm excited for that game.
Yeah.
Still don't know why that's a
um,
Thursday night game, but whatever.
right. Yeah. Otherwise, your thoughts from what you saw for the 325 games?
No, you about hit on it again. I had I was looking at the TV. Zeke had a bad fumble. They were down nine
Yeah.
nothing or 10-0. They had a bad fumble. Other team or the Eagles got the ball right away, scored. Um, but no, that was it. I for the 325 games. I mean, I know there's a lot of pissed off Bears fans.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They
We're
definitely thought they were gonna win, or at least it'd be a
yeah.
close game. I think the fact that it was they got destroyed,
Yeah.
but you can understand that fan base. They don't want another 15 years of just getting destroyed. You know,
Right.
it's not fun to watch a bad team or a team that isn't
Right.
competing for the playoffs or anything.
Right. And like I'm not a Jordan Love fan. The little bit that I did see of that game, I mean, he looked fine.
Yeah,
Overall stats wise, it was pretty good,
yeah,
right? Him and Romeo Dobbs seemed to have a really good connection. It was basically Aaron Jones kind of took care of business for the most part on the ground for him, which is good. But being, you know, in the NFC North, I kind of like that our division is pretty solid for the most part because that means the Vikings got to work for it. Do I hope
yeah,
we win our division? Obviously, but
yeah,
it keeps the division games good. It's a more of a must watch rather than especially with the Lions, right? Now it's not oh, Vikings are just gonna
Yeah.
win or whatever. It's gonna be a bad game or be close because of stupid stuff. No, it should be a good game. Um, so keeps it interesting for sure. Um, Now moving on to the night game. Now at the time of recording, it's still going on, but it's a blowout.
Yeah.
Uh, Cowboys are just putting in work, and the Giants look awful, just awful. So, I don't know, not too much to really cover during the game here,
Yeah.
unless you have
Yeah. A
something to
lot.
say about
Just
that.
they're earlier they were playing in the rain, fumbles, interceptions, turnovers by the Giants right away, killing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I will say too, week one is a sloppier, so the turnovers were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ton, a ton of turnovers. It was crazy. So,
Yeah, and that's just
um,
kind of how it goes. I get so annoyed listening to the commentators. Oh, it's because they don't play preseason. Because they don't play preseason. Shut up. Practice
right,
is basically the same thing. It's just not in
right.
the stadium you play in. Whatever.
Yeah, it's week one, week two is going to be a little sloppier. I mean, there's no point in having you guys play in the preseason when it doesn't count. You don't get anything out of it, so who cares? Um, but whatever. As far as NFL goes, anything else you want to hit on, touch on?
Uh, well, for another overreaction, I'm not ready to sit here and say the Lions are Super Bowl contenders or anything like that. I don't care. They beat
Absolutely
Kansas
not.
City in Kansas City.
Right.
I score a lot of points, but
Yeah.
you got to prove it on defense,
No.
just like us.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I will say the main difference between Lions last year, Lions this year, is they actually finish games, right? They're actually closing them out and they work all the way to the end. We didn't see that until towards the end of the season last year. Um, so they actually kept work, which is good to see, obviously. But no, I'm not there with you. Yeah, I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders. I mean, playoff for sure,
Yeah.
and then we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, kind of staying with football, but getting out of the NFL.
College.
Uh, yeah. Uh, as I was kind of doing up all the research and stuff like that for today, this popped up almost right away. Michigan State fired their head coach, Mel Tucker, for sexual harassment allegations. So,
Oh shit!
yeah.
Recently, I guess I'm
Yeah,
not
like
too
five
familiar
hours
with the.
ago.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I'm not too familiar with the coach, but that's crazy on a Sunday. And yeah, who knows where
Right.
they go
It's
now?
yeah.
Few weeks into the season.
Right, because Michigan State, they're Big Ten school, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, ugh.
So Michigan
uh,
State just fired their head coach, and then Michigan, John Harbaugh, he's
yeah.
suspended 4 games or 3 games or whatever. What's going on in Michigan?
Not a good year for Michigan.
No.
As far as sports go, anything you want to talk about in the sports world, as far as basketball, baseball, anything like that?
Another college topic. People were making a big deal about Colorado beating Nebraska. I think after last
Oh,
weekend, the weekend before, where Minnesota beat Nebraska, and then Colorado beat TCU, I thought it was really no shock today that they destroyed Nebraska, or yesterday destroyed Nebraska. Um,
yeah,
so I thought that was kind of silly, anyone saying that. And then
right.
basketball wise, Team USA lost to Germany. People are making a big deal about that in basketball. For me, I know we don't actually have like our best players over there, so it's hard to take it serious.
Yeah,
Um, like LeBron, he hasn't played in any international teams in like 7 years, like since
right.
2016. So tough to take it serious for me.
Any notable names for Germany? Or not really?
Well, I mean, people were joking about Anthony Edwards making
Oh,
like hogging the ball. But Germany, yeah, like they got at least a couple actual NBA guys. I'm blanking on the names or who
Sure.
exactly, but yeah.
No, for sure.
They what they should
Um,
do at some point, All Star break or some USA versus Europe. Best players on both
yeah,
teams. Like Europe would have your big guys, your centers, your power forwards, but USA we got the better guards, small forwards. So it'd be, I could actually, if people were actually trying, I could actually watch that and enjoy it. But
right.
yeah,
But you'd have to pull out like the big dogs, and you have to give them a reason to do it too, which is kind of always the hard thing. Um,
yeah,
but
right.
yeah,
You need to, whether it's financial or yeah, we you need to motivate them somehow on both sides.
yeah,
Carl
definitely.
Carl Anthony Towns, he could potentially be the center though for that, you know, actual USA team if that ever became a thing. Because again, all
Right.
the good centers are from Europe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
And
my
then you could
idea.
easily get him an award for who cries the most. I mean, he'd get it right away. All right, fucking Carl Anthony Jones. Switching gears, unless you have anything else for sports.
um, well, I should ask you, what did you think? Back to the NFL quick. What did you think of the
Yeah, yeah,
Broncos
yeah.
game for
Uh,
Jackson?
uh, I mean, they didn't win, obviously, and
No,
I didn't expect them to win. They played better than I thought they would, especially offensively.
yeah,
Um, Portland Sutton had a few really good plays,
yeah,
for sure. I think if they had Jerry Judy in the game, they probably would have won.
yeah, yeah. Right, they were
But
missing him. I love the. I think this is why you said some about Sean Payton because they started the game with an
uh,
onside kick. Nah, that's an awesome beginning.
yeah,
But
making a statement.
right, the scary part is like the Raiders. They're not the best team in the AFC. They're closer to the bottom than the top for sure.
Yep.
And you lost to them, so that's kind of the scary part. But I'm not ready to freak out. I still got them losing the AFC Championship game to the Jets in my prediction.
Yeah. Again, it's a week one, so you can't overreact. Sean Payton's been away from coaching for a year, just a year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So getting his legs back under him a little bit, and on an official week one preseason doesn't really count. I don't think. As far as play calling and stuff like that goes, this is when he's actually taking it seriously and actually pulling out the real plays. Um, Missing out on Jerry Judy, more or less your top end wide receiver. Um, Granted, and I think he did that onside kick just because he was a cocky son of a bitch. Because he expected to win against the Raiders, and now it's kind of okay, I can lose any week type of thing, and it'll kind of bring him back down to earth a little bit.
yeah,
Uh, I swear, I think it was just one of the cockiest moves, and I thought it was really funny that it's like it was like 0.25 of a yard early that whoever grabbed the ball. So that was pretty
hmm
funny.
yeah. But yeah, I can see where Broncos fans are a little bit nervous. But we'll see. But yeah,
We'll see.
let's jump to gaming. Maybe you could tell us about the new game that just came out.
Oh yeah. Well, let's start here, right?
Yeah.
What are we playing, right? We'll start with you because I'm sure you got quite a bit to say on this. So, what have you been playing the last week?
The old Call of Duties, the classics. Black Ops, MW2,
Yeah.
having a good time.
Uh, Servers holding up and everything for the most part.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice, nice.
and people
So
playing it. Yeah,
yeah, definitely, yeah, because I know when I watched your stream the other day, at the bottom it was like 100 and some thousand people were online
yeah.
still. It was like
That
crazy.
yeah. I question on Black Ops whether that's legit though, because it's like
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. That still seems way too high.
right? Um, so I have been playing Starfield. I've actually been playing a lot of Starfield. Surprisingly, I actually really like it. And I think it's for a couple reasons. One, I didn't watch anything during the fake E3 and then the Xbox promotional stuff. They would show like 40 minutes of gameplay and stuff. I didn't watch any of it. I didn't look into the game too much. I just knew it was basically Skyrim space. And then a day before it got released, they were like, "Hey, this is what you can do to build your ship and stuff like that." That was the main reason I wanted to play it, just to try that out and then move on. Um, I think it was mainly because I haven't played a true Bethesda game in a while. I haven't touched Fallout 4 in a really long time, or Skyrim really. So dived right in, and it's basically playing that with better graphics and spaceships. Overall, it's really fun. It's getting a ton of hate.
Yeah.
Very unwarranted, I
So
think, but
yeah, so like there, I saw a montage on TikTok, and it was like streamers' thoughts of Starfield, and basically all they said was it was boring, like 90% of them. So a few liked it. I
right.
haven't seen enough to really have an opinion, but yeah, I guess you like it. Are they calling it boring because every streamer nowadays, or like the big ones, they always got to be like doing something, yelling, screaming,
Yeah,
some kind of drama, and I don't know. Is the game just too
right.
slow paced?
Well, I think in general, most Bethesda games are kind of paced, right?
Yeah,
Especially Skyrim. Unless you're out purposely like seeking to fight something or people, you're just walking around, you're talking to people, doing up missions, and it's mostly like go this place and deliver this and talk to this person and then go steal this or whatever, right?
yeah,
It's literally what Starfield is. It's just you're going to a bunch of different planets. The thing that bugs me the most that people are bitching about is they're saying it's load screen load screen field or whatever it's called because there's a bunch of load screens. The load screens take literally less than 10 seconds between each thing. But then people will go and say GTA 5 is like the greatest game of all time and blah blah blah. Their load screens last 10 minutes to just go from fucking
yeah.
menu screen to menu screen to menu screen, and then they can't wait for GTA 6. It's like, motherfucker,
You're right.
you, you can't wait a whole like 2 seconds for it to load an entire planet so that you can run on. I mean, like, Jesus Christ. So that's super unwarranted. The boring thing, you're talking to a lot of people. There's a lot of world building because it's the first Bethesda game of this, right? There's not a bunch of Elder Scrolls and Fallouts, right? So you don't
Yeah,
have to talk as much. You know the drill. You go kill things. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think it's awesome. Um, a big leak that happened for Nintendo. I guess they were showing it off at some panel or whatever, and a bunch of these review guys were leaking it. Nintendo Switch 2, they were showing it off. So it's about that time, right?
yep.
The Switch has been out for about 8 years, 7 years
It was like
at this point.
2018.
Okay,
This
so
2012 was
about
the Wii U, so 6 years.
yeah,
They do it like 6 years apart.
yeah, so six and a half. So we're getting to that time.
Yeah,
I've been saying the Switch has been super outdated for a while anyway. It was outdated when it released as it is. So that's probably going to be released or announced here shortly to be ready to go
yeah.
for
I,
Christmas time.
I definitely think we'll have to have Jackson on once Nintendo actually. Yep. Once it's actually announced, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, that'll be a fun one. Uh, so have you heard of the game Only Up?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw this, but it was permanently removed from Steam
Why?
because the creator said that he was taking it off due to stress. He is a solo game developer, and it was causing too much harm to his mental health.
Then why does he have to take it off Steam? Just delete it on your computer.
Right. Or just don't update it.
Right.
Like you can still just have it there and keep getting paid off of it. Just don't do any more updates. Just like leave it as is. It's a broken game anyway. That's what people are playing it for. So, but yeah, it is. He took it down, and that's that. So I'm sure we'll see something similar like with Flappy Bird.
Yeah, that's
When
exactly what this sounds like. It's just stupid.
yeah. So anybody that has only up on their system, I'm sure they'll be able to sell their gaming system or whatever, their PC for a good chunk of change because people are going to freak out about it, just like they did with Flappy Bird with phones.
Yeah.
I know some phones were going for like 10 grand just because they had Flappy Bird on it.
And even like with Fortnite, when that whole debacle got banned or whatever on iOS, but like you could still play it. Yeah, that was kind of going on too.
So, so yeah. As far as gaming, anything else you wanted to talk about that way?
No, those were the things. You know.
Switching gears to business news, I have one kind of crazy topic, but we'll stick to this one just to kind of get a quick um, update on this and what you think about it. So, SpaceX, they're looking to expand a little bit, and they're actually going to be moving offices and potentially more stuff to Dublin, Ireland. I don't know if they even have launched anything into space really, besides maybe a couple satellites or whatever. But yeah, apparently they're moving over and expanding to Dublin. Um, if you're interested in stocks and stuff, that's probably a good thing to keep an eye out on. Just Elon stuff in general.
Yeah,
He's always doing something, so
yeah,
it's always good to
he's a
keep track of
marketing
those.
machine. Everyone wants
Yep,
to know what he's up to. You know.
absolutely. Somebody who is no longer a marketing machine, The Rock. Uh, he's in hot water along with Oprah Winfrey, who is arguably the richest woman on earth because so the Maui fires were going on, right? A lot
Yeah.
of people homeless, died, islands destroyed, so on, right?
Yep.
Basically, The Rock and Oprah came out and said, "Hey, we're both going to donate $10 million, and we're going to put it in this fund, and then we want you to donate all this money so that we can raise $2 billion to uh, basically go to Maui." And then they were looking into it, and it turns out the charity wasn't exactly going directly to the people to Maui. It was going to basically funnel to another company that would eventually help the people in Maui, but not directly.
Mm.
But is also a charitable donation that would just go into the Rock and Oprah's name, which they can use for taxes. Uh, so basically, they're in super hot water,
Because
basically
they got
using their
caught.
fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, using their fame to their objectives just for tax write-offs, but then also a lot of people are like, "Hey, you guys are billionaires. Why don't you both just donate the $1 billion each?" And there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so there's a lot of that mess going on. So The Rock just can't get a win because he's in controversy after controversy after controversy as it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no,
uh,
that's shitty, and I've heard of other charities where that basically goes on, where like less than 50% of money donated actually goes to the cause because it just gets wasted or it goes someplace it shouldn't, which is terrible. But
right.
it's the reality of what
Um,
happens.
Right. And I always think it's funny too. Like when you go anywhere, they're like, "Hey, you want to roundups?" And then it'll go to this charity to help, blah blah blah. Well, that is just what the company's using to get this massive tax write-off because they're using your money to donate, and then they're using it as theirs for a tax write-off. You just donated if that's what you want to do.
Right.
Um, so I always think that's super shitty of companies anyway, and I don't think a lot of people realize, hey, you're actually helping these corporations make a shit ton of money off of you. So, yeah. Um,
Exactly. Yep.
as far as business stuff goes, anything you want to talk about there?
Um, nah, there wasn't too much I can think of recently. No.
Yeah.
No.
So I got three major hot headlines. Two of them are actually weather related. The first one is in Morocco. They had a massive earthquake. As of right now, the death toll is 2,100. And they're asking for help, obviously. City is absolutely destroyed, demolished, and yeah, it's sad thing to see for sure.
Yeah, another
And then
depressing story.
yeah. And then Hurricane Lee has been upgraded to a Category 5. It doesn't look like it's going to hit Florida or anything like that, but it's definitely going to hit Puerto Rico, who is just starting to get back on their feet after last year's major hurricane. So they can't catch a break, but that's kind of what happens though too. When you live in that area, you get a lot of the really bad storms. So it's like it's really sad, but it's like
You
kind
choose
of
to
what
live
happens
there,
down
and
there.
then it's just like
Right.
up here. You choose to deal with snow. Half the year.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So, definitely, if you are a Puerto Rican resident, as you already, I'm sure, already doing, batten down the hatches and good luck.
yeah.
Nothing more we can really say about that, unfortunately. So yeah. Um, this one I think is actually kind of funny. So, as everybody knows, even though I feel like it's being kind of hidden, you have to purposely search for it. The trial stuff for the former President Trump has been going on. And as of, I believe, yesterday, he formally informed his judge that he will be trying to move his Georgia election interference charge to federal court. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is it's actually kind of funny because one, he has 30 days to do it, but if he does do it, he has many avenues to actually get all of his charges dropped, and all he has to do is prove that he did it uh, as a part of his formal duties as president.
Oh.
Uh, yeah. uh, if he doesn't do it, though, basically the jury that's going to be on his case in Georgia is from the county that Biden won with a 47-point margin. So it's either he gets it,
Yeah.
moved to federal court, and he just dismissed of all charges, or he's going to prison. So he's in Hail Mary mode, for sure. But then also the other 19 co-defendants are also attempting to move their cases to federal court as well because they'll be able to do and prove the exact same thing. So it's
Wow.
interesting time of all the little loopholes and everything, which hey is what got him to be president in the first place. Uh, and not surprising, it's why it probably took me a good 5 minutes to find out what was going on in his trial as I was looking up information. Oh, uh, they're definitely hiding it a little bit. So, uh, but yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about headline wise, or anything else in general?
No, you kind of hit on the recent things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I guess I was just gonna plug the channel.
absolutely.
Um, so again, I was thinking, yeah, this podcast obviously later on this week, Fantasy Football Gurus podcast.
Yep.
Talk about week one, get you ready for week two. And then Thursday ish, I'll have another Career Chronicles. Just got done with that, talking about the women of Walmart. Some good stories there. And then
Yep.
just throughout the week, for anyone watching, going to be playing more of the classic Call of Duties. Um, add me on Xbox if you want to play. Get you in there playing with all
Absolutely.
viewers. But yeah, otherwise, I think that was
Yeah,
about
and
it.
then if for anybody else, I have stuff starting to populate again this week. I had a, I took a little hiatus. I was super busy with work stuff. Lots of changes were going on with work and a lot more responsibility. Just got kind of thrown on my plate over the last couple of weeks at work. So I was kind of hammering that stuff out. Hopefully, it's going to start getting to normal here shortly as I am pulling lots of nights right now. But I have things getting released hopefully here towards the end of the week. So be back on the normal schedule of that type of stuff, and then obviously pulling clips and stuff from the podcast and whatnot. So all the good stuff will be all over as well too. So a lot more to come, obviously, as we get back and rolling on things.
Yeah, sounds good.
So
Wrap it up here.